Alright, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Brewery Ommegang, and they're out of Cooperstown, New York, and this is their Grande Tripel. So this is a Tripel with a coffee and vanilla. It comes in at 9% alcohol by volume, 24 IBUs at the time of review. And this can is just under 3 months old, and it also has a best by date of January 16th of 2026. So they give this one a 1-year best by date. So according to the brewery, we should be more than good to go. And I picked this one up at Halftime Beverage via halftimebeverage.com. So in the description box, post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that I grabbed. I picked up 31 different beers, and I threw this one into the box because I didn't know if this one was going to show up in the Western New York area for sure, so I threw it in there. Of course, about 2 or 3 weeks later, it showed up, but I wanted to make sure that I got this one so I could review it as a shelfie beer for the month of April 2025, and I am. So, really excited about this one. I'm actually intrigued, excited, and nervous. I'm intrigued because it's a Belgian-style Tripel with coffee and vanilla. I can't think of a Belgian-style Tripel that I've had with both coffee and vanilla. I might have had 1 or 2 with coffee, but then I'm excited because it sounds like it could be potentially delicious, but also nervous because it sounds like it could potentially be disgusting. They have a little spiel on the back. It says, creating Grande Tripel, we let our base Tripel take center stage, enhancing it with freshly roasted coffee and vanilla beans. The result is a harmonious Belgian-style Tripel with subtle coffee aromas and a palate rich in roasted coffee and vanilla. The coffee and vanilla notes are intentionally understated, resulting in a soft, inviting beer that leaves you wanting more. So they're talking about more of a nuanced coffee and vanilla, because I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, I've had Imperial Coffee Cream Ales, Imperial Coffee Blonde and Golden Ales. This one's gushing out just a little bit. And those work well because, you know, the base blonde slash golden slash cream ale vibes makes sense, right? That's essentially what a Tripel is. However, they use Belgian yeast, right? That's what a Tripel is. And that Belgian yeast can kick out all kinds of different esters and phenols that I don't think is conducive to kind of blending in with the you know, the coffee and vanilla notes. But I am very intrigued enough to say we have hashtag proper glassware, of course, as we always do with Ommegang beers. I've had this glass for quite a while, and I like it. So I didn't pour it all that aggressive, but that head is absolutely freaking insane. But yeah, it looks really nice. Put it to the back here. We don't have a stemless glass, but all right, so what I see on camera is so I'm seeing a little bit lighter. Actually, I'm seeing, how could I do this where you guys can see it maybe a little bit better? I don't know, sideways maybe? Yeah, see, so going sideways through here, if you guys can see this, I actually have to go more like this so you guys can see it properly. That's kind of the light that I'm seeing. It has more of like this golden orange color, more so than you're just straight seeing like an orange color. And mine's more like a mixture of both. But anyway, it's unfiltered. There's a lot of sediment in there. 3 fingers of a frothy kind of head that is soap sudsy as well, off-white. It plays the role of like what I'm expecting out of a Tripel. Let's get a nose. All right, so they said, what was that? Let me just look at this real quick. It said, where's the subtle coffee aromas? Incorrect for my palate anyway. This is not subtle in the least. It is like moderately, like medium roasted coffee and vanilla. It smells like you had like a nice, you know, regular like medium roasted coffee and you put some vanilla cream in it. But then underneath that, there's the Belgian yeast, and the Belgian yeast is producing this slight, to me, bubblegum kind of ester. But what's working well is the spiciness. Usually I'll get like maybe white pepper, clove, coriander. I'm getting more of like a clovey coriander vibe, but it's going well with the coffee. But then that bubblegum, slight banana, almost like, it's more bubblegum, and it's like a sweet bubblegum, is so weird and strange with the coffee and vanilla. Vanilla isn't, the vanilla note actually works better with the bubblegum, but the coffee note's kind of weird with it. There's like a white bread, maybe a little bit of like a darker brown bread. I'll be honest with you, my fucking, my palate right now, or the aromatics are just like I'm dumbfounded at what I'm smelling. Like, I don't know if I've ever smelled anything exactly like this. And that's crazy to say. Where beer is nowadays and how many beers have been released, 10,000, almost 10,000 breweries in the US, and just all kinds of crazy ideas have come to the forefront over the last, 15 years of the craft beer boom. And I don't know if I've smelled anything as strange as what I'm smelling right now. And I wouldn't think it would be Ommegang to produce a beer like this to make me kind of question what's going on. I really didn't think that'd be the case. And now I'm getting chocolate, like almost mocha vibes. This is a weird beer. Do I like it? I'm not sure. Do I hate it? Not positive. I feel like it's not revolting. It's not disgusting. But it's also extremely strange. It's like you ever have one of those foods or drinks that it takes you maybe drinking a couple cans or maybe having like an entire plate of a certain food to like say if you like it or not. I think after the first sip of this, I'm going to have no idea whether or not I enjoy it. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. It's not many things that can make me shut up in general, especially when it comes to the reviews, because I like quacking and flapping my gums. But this beer just made me do that because I'm not sure what just happened, and not in the way that you probably think. I don't have any clue whatsoever how the nose was such a rich medium roasted coffee with vanilla, even mocha vibes to somehow. And it does such a 180 because in the taste, I am getting a straight on proper Belgian-style Tripel with almost no nuances of the two adjuncts in this beer. Shout out to the train. It's been a while since the train went by. You'll hear it probably a couple more times. I'll be quiet so you can hear the next one. Or not. Cool. A lot of dead air in this review. All right. I hope that came out. It's not as loud as it should be. Anyway, one more sip. Let's do body mouthfeel. That's a pretty loud one. Body in this one's like a higher side of medium, 9%, fine by me. The mouthfeel, it's that Belgian voodoo, effervescent, crispy, moderate carbonation, spritzy on the palate, somehow remains smooth and somewhat creamy. Kind of wild, but it's always... This one I will say it's a little bit more effervescent and more like dancing on the tongue, prickly carbonation, more so than smooth and creamy, but it still has a little bit of that like creamy sensation. The taste is front to back like a Belgian Tripel, like a proper Belgian Tripel. Up front, I'm getting this like nice like it's almost like it is like a wheat bread. I'm getting up front like a slightly toasty wheat bread. Omnipresent front to back. As it passes through, I'm getting citrus. I'm getting nice like orange character, like the whole orange has like the entire orange, juicy, pithy, rindy. A little bit of like a lemon zest, and there's some lighter fruits in there, like an apple, maybe even like a touch of like a lemongrass is kind of hanging around, like definitely towards the finish. There's a nice spiciness from the phenols. I'm getting more clove and coriander than anything else. The esters are pumping out to me. Pretty big fruitiness as a whole, but also that bubblegum I was getting in the nose carries over a taste, maybe a touch of banana, but it's more bubblegum heavy for me than banana. And then there's a very subtle and nuanced and underlying, like lightly roasted coffee. And it shows up for me more of like a bitterness on the finish, like a coffee bitterness. Maybe on the edge of the tongue and maybe intertwining with other characters, I'm getting a touch of vanilla. But for the most part, the coffee is more prevalent than the vanilla. But neither of them, they're more than subtle. They're like, it's like a skosh, right? Very like a skosh of coffee, a dollop of vanilla. There isn't a lot of coffee vanilla in the taste. To be fair, that's what they were talking about. That, you're not going to get a big shock to the palate with the adjuncts. But then it comes down to what is the point of putting these adjuncts in if it's not going to be that big on the palate? I don't really know. It's a good Belgian-style Tripel. Like, it really is. I'm digging it. In fact, I forgot it's 9%. A little bit of warming in the chest, nothing on palate. So, hides the alcohol incredibly well. Like, over the moon with the alcohol being hidden. It does finish bone dry. There's a mild to moderate bitterness. This isn't overly sweet for a Tripel, so the balance is there. There's a lot of good coming out of this beer. It's balanced to some degree. It hides the alcohol extremely well. I love the slightly lighter kind of body to this one because it makes it infinitely more drinkable. And with the ABV being hidden, you could pound this one out. Couple cans of the dome piece, you'd be feeling real good. And then on top of that, it has a beautiful mouthfeel too. Like, it's very refreshing somehow, despite being 9%. All that to say, I'm very disappointed that there isn't a little bit more coffee and vanilla, even though I read the tasting notes. If I'm going to pick something else that says Grande Tripel, and it's a Tripel with coffee and vanilla, I want a little bit more of those two characters specifically, right? I do think this is a damn tasty beer. Look at the epic glass lacing, fantastic. It's just a really tasty Belgian Tripel. Like, if I was doing this blind, would I say there's coffee and vanilla in here? Maybe very slight. I would think, I don't know if I'd go right to coffee and vanilla. I'd say there's something on the finish that is different for this style. That's where I would leave it, but I don't know if I'd specify coffee. The nose was just coffee, mocha, definite vanilla. The taste is way more dialed back. So if you're looking for a Belgian-style Tripel that is very nuanced and subtle with the adjuncts, and in this case of coffee and vanilla, seek this one out. If you're somebody who wants an explosion of coffee and vanilla on the palate, then leave this one on the shelves. For me, I'm glad I picked it up. I wouldn't go back to it only because I don't want to say it's false advertising, but for what I want out of it, it's not delivering exactly. But as you guys know, if you follow the channel, I rate and review and tell you how I feel about the beer on what's in my glass and not so much what's in the glass or in the can or the vessel that it comes in. And I think this is a really nice Belgian-style Tripel with nuances of coffee and vanilla. That's kind of where I leave it. So let me pour the rest of the goodies in, or as many as I can, and then I will definitely rate it, give it a score. But I think I'm going to give this a solid score because I do enjoy it. But, you know, if I had to rate this to a Belgian-style Tripel with coffee and vanilla, this would be hard-pressed for me to get like better than a 3.5. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I couldn't go much higher than 3.5. Man, pouring the rest of that in and all the goodies, it just, and I've always noticed this with Belgian beers for myself personally. I don't know, if it resonates with you guys, but every time I'm pouring the goodies, it just amplifies what the Belgian yeast does in terms of intensity to the esters and the phenols. Like, there's a lot of spiciness now after tasting that, more fruitiness, that bubblegum's kind of ramped up. I think I like that because it just brings more to the table. So again, I'm rating this overall on how I feel about the beer and what's in my glass and not what it's supposed to be stylistically, whole nine. Like I said, stylistically, Belgian-style Tripel with coffee and vanilla, 3.5 at the best. I don't even know if I'd give it a 3.5, but my own personal preference, I'm going to give Grande Tripel from Ommegang. I'm going to give this a straight 4 out of 5. I think it's a really good Belgian-style Tripel. I wish there was more coffee and vanilla, but it's still pretty damn good for what it is. Ommegang, being one of those American breweries that do Belgian styles pretty damn well, I'm not surprised in the least. So, pretty good beer. Price point availability, I think I paid like, my halftime beverage more expensive. I think I paid like $5.99 for that can. When it showed up here, I think it was like around $16 a 4-pack. I did check their website. It was like $15.95 a 4-pack. So $4 a can, 9%, Belgian-style Tripel, coffee and vanilla. That's not a bad price point at all. And again, like a friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Chaz, always says, how often do you see Belgian-style Tripels with coffee and vanilla just on the shelves? You don't, which is why I picked this one up. So if you're curious about something like this, I don't think $4 a can or even $16 a 4-pack is a bad price to pay for something that's kind of rare to some degree. And availability is Ommegang. This is one of their limited releases during the winter. We are now obviously in spring, but this is still on the shelves where I am. And yeah, I would recommend this beer to anybody who likes Belgian-style Tripels and/or coffee and vanilla. But if you're looking for a flavor explosion when it comes to the adjuncts in this one, listen, my palate's my palate. You don't know until you try it yourself. But for me, I was expecting a lot more from the adjuncts. It didn't really come through in the taste, more in the aroma. I'm not all that disappointed, but I wish there was a little bit more of the grande part of this one as opposed to the Tripel, but it's still a damn good beer. So if you've had this one before, please post in the comment section and let me know what you thought about it. I don't know if I'd age this one because I'd imagine the coffee and vanilla will probably go to the wayside. So again, this is just under 3 months old. Maybe if I got to this one like 3 weeks old, it would have been a little bit more with the coffee and vanilla, but it is what it is. And they do give it a best by date of a year out. So they're saying you could drink this one and it should hit the nail on the head for what they're going for up to a year. So Anyway, I'm going to shut this one down. Another shelfie beer review here in the book, plural, I don't know why I should say books. Got a couple more left, and then we'll do them again in May. So appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.